Hello, everyone. I apologize for skipping a news day yesterday. I was really sick, so I needed a day away from the screens. So I'm covering both the stuff I collected yesterday and the stuff from today. As you have already heard, fighting resumed after a very brief truce during Easter. Technically, the Easter truce was supposed to last 30 hours. It did not. Depending on which region you ask, it barely lasted 8 or 12 hours. So people who celebrate barely had a chance to have dinner or go to church or whatever they prefer to do on Easter, and then the bombing started again. And not surprising to anybody, at least in Ukraine, there were 3,000 ceasefire violations since last month when it was supposed to have taken place, at least the ceasefire including the energy infrastructure. And again, we go back to history. Because remember, this is nothing new. The fact that attacks continued during some kind of something that Russia agreed to with the United States is not surprising. The fact that they continued firing on Easter is not surprising. The fact that they murdered a bunch of civilians on Palm Sunday is not surprising. And the fact that on Monday morning they launched 96 drones and 3 missiles overnight, causing damage in Kharkiv, Dnipropetrovsk, and Cherkasy. In addition, there were air raids in Kyiv, Kherson, Mykolaiv, and Zaporizhia. It means my parents didn't get any sleep again. None of this is surprising. I said this many times, and I'm going to keep repeating it to anybody who says ceasefire. Between 2014, annexation of Crimea, and 2022, full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Ukraine held over 200 talks with Russia over establishing some kind of ceasefire in the Donetsk-Luhansk region, where nobody wanted them. They said they were invited by some traitors. 200 times. They agreed on a ceasefire 25 times. Each and every time Russia violated a ceasefire. What is the point? Why are we going that route if we know it doesn't work? And of course, Russia continues to lie about it. They said that they observed the rules. Yeah, you know what? It's real easy to observe the rules when first you're the one who comes up with the rules, and then you're the one who adjusts the rules as necessary for your personal use. That just seems to happen. 3 people were killed in Kherson region on Easter by Russians during that alleged Easter truce. And now Russia says that they're prepared to talk directly to Ukraine. I don't know why. Maybe they've realized that talking to Trump is not going to get them anywhere. Not for the practical purposes, even though he now appears to favor a deal that is heavily for Russia's benefit, which Ukraine would never agree to. Considering other remarks by Trump and his administration, by Rubio, by Witkoff, what they're doing is basically what I predicted months ago. And that is, when they realize they cannot finish the war in 24 hours, as he boasted through the entirety of his election campaign, It turned out to be too complicated. So now what they're going to say, see, we offered Ukraine a deal and they refused, so there's nothing more we can do. We're just going to walk away. People in Ukraine understand this very well, which is why they're beefing up their collaboration with Europe to the best of their ability, and Europe is rearming. At the same time that they said that they're prepared to negotiate directly with Ukraine, they launched another overnight attack on Odessa. Again, striking a residential area. There's only 3 people injured that we know of at the time, but many residential buildings were damaged. It was a very densely populated district of Odessa. So explain to me, how does that work precisely? Basically, in the same breath, you say, I'm ready to sit down and talk, and then you go and attack. How does that work? Explain to me how that is consistent. There is apparently another meeting scheduled between Ukraine, UK, France, and the US in London to talk about another ceasefire. I don't see what the point is. And again, Russia is not there. And how is that going to be effective? Unless a ceasefire is supported by a military force from everybody else involved. So on one hand, we have Russia. On the other hand, we have Ukraine and allies. And every violation is punished. That's not going to work. So far, Ukrainian Air Force said that 54 drones were launched. They shot down 38 and jammed 16. Again, that measure proves to be very, very effective. That's been something that's been used now for many months, if not a whole year, where they jam the frequency, the communications for the Russian drones, which basically makes it impossible for the drone to complete its mission. And again, not surprisingly, right now, there's information leaks that suggest that Trump is favored just freezing the borders where they are and prohibiting Ukraine from joining NATO. That is bullshit. Again, I fail to see how this is of any advantage to Ukraine. Because if you leave things as they are, what it gives Russia is not just a portion of Ukraine, but the ability to rearm, recoup, recruit more people from various countries to use as cannon fodder and attack again in the next couple of years. That's it. And again, Putin keeps saying that he's thinking about it, that he's analyzing about it, he's this, that, and the other thing. There's nothing to analyze. Bruh, you attacked another country. Leave. Nobody wants you there. You're not protecting anybody there. You killed a bunch of civilians. You killed a bunch of children. You kidnapped a bunch of children. Just fucking leave. Nobody is greeting you there with open arms. And he finally admitted that he struck a heavily populated area of Sumy during that deadly attack. But he said there was an award ceremony there for people who, in his words, committed crimes in Kursk. So, because of a handful of military present in that area at that time, you went and murdered a bunch of civilians. Good on you. Ain't you just a fucking hero? Zelensky came back with the strategy that is already at work in Ukraine. They're trying their best to avoid civilian infrastructure. He proposed a sound strategy for which weapons can and cannot be used. I doubt it will come to anything, but at least Zelensky can say, well, we tried. More to come.